Okay, welcome everyone. This is S.Karnik here. Today is the 16th of October 2024. I want to welcome you all to the Foundations of Angel Wing Technical Workshop. Please do keep in mind that these workshops are a bit technical. They do require some contemplation, and I will try to explain things as clearly as possible. This entire series that we're doing twice a month is based on the 813-page book called The Foundations of Angel Wing Self-Mastery, Volume 1. All of our audios regarding this, as they are being recorded on a regular basis, are available on the Angel Wing podcast channel. They'll also be available on YouTube's, and all the slides will be available in the near future. All right, so with that, I'm going to continue from where we were last time. Just as a quick background, this particular volume that we're talking about, that is Foundations of Angel Wing Volume 1, has many research ideas to present the notion of the self and the self-mastery concept, that I can master myself into the highest states of human life. But to unfold that idea and to unfold that possibility from a more academic, more research, and a more psychologically technical perspective is what we're attempting here. So please do make notes and comments and whatnot. You can interrupt me if you want to. That's perfectly fine. I'm going to speak for a good 35, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. But if you do have questions or comments in between, please ask. And that's fine. And then we can get into a discussion about it, or you can wait towards the end and I can stay, even after 8 o'clock is perfectly fine. So in the beginning part of this book, about the 30 pages or so are an introduction written by Dr. CHETANA KRIPALU. So, and we kind of covered just briefly that introduction last time. Today, we're diving into the very first passage of the book. And this is the first passage right here. You'll notice that each of these paragraphs are quite dense. So I'm going to break it up into smaller pieces to really understand, and so that I can try to present it, and then we'll kind of go from there. I'm going to read this first, and we'll go step by step. So the intricacies of selfhood and subjectivity. This is our subject today. This is our topic today. The notion of the self encapsulates an individual positioned at the focal point of their introspective cognition. This idea, grounded in consciousness studies, is pivotal in understanding the complex workings of the human mind. It's imperative to acknowledge that the comprehension of the self is inherently prejudiced, as it epitomizes a subject's intrinsic reference to its own existence. I know it's a mouthful and it's a bit dense. Let's try to break it up a little bit. Let's look at the first sentence. Well, before we look at the first sentence, let's look at the title. So this is not about my covering just a lot of information. I really would like all of you to, really stay with me here. And if something is not clear, something doesn't make sense, or you want to make a comment, or just please interrupt and ask, because I don't want to go too fast and then it'll get confusing. Point number 1, look at the title. The intricacies of selfhood and subjectivity. What does that mean? What is that? What is selfhood? This is the basic question. Who am I? And the subjective experience of the me, who I am. Now, selfhood is the real question, that before we can get to self-mastery, what is it that we are trying to master? The Tuesday evening personal transformation program, we've done 41 weeks now, is the systematic application process to reach self-mastery. It's a multi-tiered and multi-year process. Okay, but these presentations are the conceptual backbone, the theoretical backbone on each of Angel Wing's foundational principles. So the first point is about selfhood. When I see myself, when I look in the mirror, we're going to give some examples here. I stand in front of a mirror and what do I see? I say, oh, this is Sachin. Okay. I see a body. I see a reflection of me. Is that who I am? Well, yes, in some sense, certainly. I mean, that's kind of who I am. But 5 minutes before that point, what was I? Am I something different at every point on the timeline? Is the body changing constantly? Yes. Every second the body is changing. There's reactions going on. So is the body me? But the body has changed so much. So then logically we can say that this body, yes, this body is, I have a sense that that's me, but it's changing constantly. Look at the shape, the form, there's so many aspects of it that keep changing. Now that's the body. What about the mind? Well, that's changing also. Our mind from age 5 to 6 to 7 to 10 to 20 to 30 to 40 is changed so much. Is that me? You see, or is that an experience within me, or that is had by me? I'm having the experience of the body and the mind. So keep that question alive. Okay, now having said that, this is where the word subjectivity comes from. Subjectivity means that this is my first person experience, and it is subjective in the sense that I have my own qualitative experience of my thoughts and my feelings and my memories and my emotions and my relationships and everything. The objects outside, it's my subjective experience. Drinking a cup of coffee or drinking ginger ale or whatever I'm drinking or eating or seeing, this is all subjective experience. So selfhood and subjectivity are the big questions here. The question is that what is subjectivity in relation to selfhood? I wake up in the morning and I have a certain experience of my life. Where is it coming from? Why does it exist? So there are 1,000 questions like this. I mean, who created me? Was there a creator? There's a lot of metaphysical questions. There's also questions with regards to the decisions I have to make. Do I have free will or not? So there's a lot of questions philosophically that are definitely connected, but we are trying to probe into the construct of self-mastery that we started talking about in the first week. So this is the general subject that we're looking at today. Now, let's look at the first sentence carefully. The notion of the self, and that's in quotations, because we don't know what that is. That's a mystery to some extent. The notion of the self encapsulates an individual, which is all of us. And where are we? We're positioned at the focal point of our introspective cognition. When I think of myself, I'm thinking of myself. I am introspective means I'm looking at myself through my cognitive ability. That is called introspective cognition. Without introspective cognition, there is no awareness of the me. People who have severe brain damage or certain types of traumas, they lose their personality structure. They lose their sense of me. And that raises a lot of questions neurologically. Is introspective cognition a byproduct or an outgrowth or an epiphenomena of neurological function? Is that so? And there's a lot of questions here. So introspective cognition is there within us that gives me the capacity to say, yes, these are my memories and these are my experiences, and I can see who I am and I can think about who I am, things like that. That is called introspective cognition. But where does introspective cognition come from? See, the two words, introspective cognition. Introspective means it comes from the word introspection. Introspection is seeing myself, probing into the me, probing into who am I. The Eastern mystics have looked at that question. Through meditation, through doing a lot of different types of secluded activity to probe into the inner world like a scientist, but it's an inner scientist. The field of psychology began through introspection. Then it got much more scientific to look at neurological phenomena and cognitive behavioral science and so many related ideas that allow us to more systematically, more empirically to understand the nature of the human mind. So introspective cognition is possible with the ability to reflect and see the content of the psychological mind, the psychological consciousness, the content of consciousness. It is possible to perceive that content in a reflective modality. I can sit for 5 minutes or 10 minutes on a park bench and I can start to think about events from the past. Yes, but that's memory. Now, I also have a sense of me. I have a sense of me in relation to all of those events. The ability to access those events, the ability to think about those events, the ability to put myself in relationship to those events in the past or what is yet to come in my mind is all due to introspective cognition. These are loaded ideas. Each sentence is loaded in this 813-page book. Each sentence is like this. It's loaded. So that's why we're unpacking it very carefully, because it's not just light reading. It's really a reflective process. Now, someone might ask, why are we even probing into something like this? Because it shows the intense depth of the construct of self-mastery. It's not something that Dr. CHETANA, KRIPALU, or me, or Dr. BERMAN, or anybody else has pulled out of thin air and we're imagining it. We've been at this now for the last 4 years nearly. And so many different types of developments have been occurring because of this level of foundation that we can present to the world. And at the same time, encourage each person to grow from within. So when we start to contemplate on these ideas, we are growing. Our brain is developing and growing. It's difficult, a little difficult, but it's okay. It's like really exercising your mind. See, as I'm talking, I'm also listening to this. As you're listening to this, your mind is going in different directions, thinking, what does this mean? What is he talking about? What do these ideas mean? That's fine. It's flexing the intellectual muscle, right? Okay, so let's go further now. It's fascinating stuff. Let's go further. All right, so introspective cognition. All right. Now, there's a couple of examples here. Before we get to those, I'm going to go to the second sentence. Actually, hold on. In the first sentence, you see what it says: the individual positioned at the focal point of introspective cognition. That's interesting in itself. The focal point is the mind's ability to pull all of its memories and conditioning together. It is the pulling together of the internal conditioning at a focal point internally, intrapsychically, to be able to perceive one's content of the mind. That these are my memories, these are my thoughts, this is my mother, my father, my this, my that, my this. So many. There's a phenomenal amount of material being recorded every moment, and at the same time, it's in the storehouse of memories. And it is definitely a subjective process. It is subjective. It's subjective because when I am trying to reflect on who am I, in the reflection of who am I, it's not just like some superficial reflection. It's a real meditative probe that I can sit with my own self in relation to others, in relation to the events going on in the world and family members and friends and social structures and all of that, because we are not living in isolation. Our content of psychological consciousness is how can I say it? It's been developed in a relational modality. It cannot develop in isolation. And that is the very significant question regarding consciousness itself. And that's the second line, but we won't get to that yet. Even getting to the second line is going to take some time. We want to go slowly. You notice what happens here, that when I think of myself, my mind is revolving around the people that I'm in connection with, the attachment structure within myself. There is the attachment structure developed in the brain, without which there cannot be a mind. As much as we many times talk about going beyond attachments in a more spiritual sense, people like to talk about that, and that is there, no doubt, whatever that may be. The fact is, without the development of an attachment structure right from childhood, right from birth onwards, there is no mind. There cannot be any mind. It's amazing. So the selfhood, the self that is being constructed, the identity formation process of who I am, is happening right from childhood. Many technical ideas and stages are there. And then into teenage, where identity formation really kicks in, the bodily changes occur, and then eventually the personality begins to really solidify after age, 18, 19, 20, 21, 25 even. It's identity formation into a relatively static personality. That's the technical lingo behind it. Personality is not, oh, somebody's a good personality. We don't mean it that way. I mean, that's just very superficial, layman, that's just a common terminology. We're talking about the actual technical word personality. And there's so many different types of personality that have been identified in the field of psychology. So our development is occurring through nature and nurture, obviously through the genetic structure and from the outside influences of the family, the mother, the father, the caregivers, whoever they are, etc. From all of that, the sense of me is developing in the context of the society. It is developing in the context of the culture, the society, the family, the value system, the belief system, everything. It is developing in that. And if it doesn't develop in that, where will it develop? How can it develop? And that goes back to John Locke's theory of the blank slate. That the mind is a blank slate upon which all impressions are written, and that's what forms our identity. Is that true? Is that 100% true, or is there something more to our identity than simply everything that has been imprinted on the mind? How fascinating are these? So that's the philosophical question. And by the way, the blank slate, it's a massive book. I have it at home. It's written in 1600s or something. It's just extraordinary. Written by John Locke. So is that what we are? And then this adds another dimension, that when I'm reflecting on the me with all of this conditioning and the societal patterns within me and my connection with others, is that all that I am? So that's a question for self-discovery. And then the question for self-mastery is, what is it that I'm trying to master? What is it? Is it basically just resetting all of this conditioning in some synchronous way? We talked about that many times in so many retreats. Yes. Yeah, go ahead. Please, go ahead. Ask anytime.
So, the blank slate theory, what is the opposite of that? It's either we're blank slate or
what? Or what's the opposite of that?
Yeah, or what?
So if you go back to the nature nurture argument that used to be there's no argument anymore, because it's nature and nurture. So the blank slate theory is that our entire mental content has come from the outside. The sense that my values, my beliefs, my thoughts, my feelings, everything, all experience is coming from outside. It's empiricism. Empiricism says that from outside it has come through the senses, and then it's all been written on the mind. So neurologically, all the neurological connections are based on experience-dependent neuronal development. Right? Experience, yes. So that's what the blank slate, so there's evidence for that. I mean, significant evidence for it. But the opposite of it, I wouldn't say so much opposite. I mean, it's just only my commentary on this. I wouldn't say opposite so much. I would say a further dimension beyond this dimension. You know, I mean, although philosophers like to think in terms of, you know, that one theory versus another, I tend to not think of it that way, these various perspectives. So I would say that a priori wisdom and knowledge comes from a dimension beyond the psychological imprinting of the blank slate phenomena. You know, so the a priori, we've talked about that, which is the innate, the innate truth that is within us, where mathematics comes from, where our sense of right and wrong may come from, you know, where the sense of beauty comes from. This is in philosophy, more formally, that is called phenomenology. Okay, so that's what it's called. And there's a lot of researchers, and in fact, there's many philosophers who have written extensively on this point about the subjective experience. What is the subjective experience? Where does it come from? And what they're saying is that it is not simply a matter of external imprinting. External imprinting is there, but there's a subjective sense of qualia. You know, so the qualia, meaning what? I put sugar in my mouth, or let's just say I'm eating a Hershey's chocolate bar, right, with nuts, let's say, you know, yummy, 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 right? Hershey's chocolate bar with nuts. All right, okay. Now, if an AI was there who has so advanced and so programmed that looks just like S.Karnik, looks like, acts like, thinks like, everything, but does the AI, artificial intelligence, does it have any consciousness? Does it have any first-person experience? So philosophers debate about this point. Philosophers like Daniel Dennett from Tufts University, who has written Consciousness Explained, and many other such books are there and articles. He's one of the topmost empiricist philosophers in the world today, and he will say that we are no different from that AI. We are absolutely the same thing. We are just a biological form of AI. That's what he would say. That the mind is an emergent epiphenomena of the brain. That all that is the brain. Just like, for example, right now I'm using my computer. Is Sylvia or Debbie or Marianne or Christina, are they actually present here? No. It's a creation from the computer. But there's an actual Debbie and Sylvia somewhere. You know, I'm talking to you as if you are here. But you're not really here, nor is there anything actually there. It's just projection of light. Isn't it so? This is what the empiricist argument is, that there's a projection of a projection from the brain due to its extreme complexity, that the mind is a projection from the brain. And that is called an epiphenomena. It is called an emergent quality. There's other words also for it. It is also called supervenience. These are words that nobody uses in our normal English language. These are philosophy technical terms, right? To supervene. So it's like this computer screen is in front of me right now, and I feel that Sylvia is here, but in reality, Sylvia is not here. In reality, what is the reality? Only the hardware of the computer. Is that not so? See the argument. How interesting. Now look at the current developments in artificial intelligence. They are getting so advanced now. I just researched this recently. You'll find this interesting. They're getting so advanced now that the researchers, the technicians who created AI cannot figure out how the heck it's working, how it's actually doing what it's able to do. Programming jobs are going to disappear. Teaching jobs will probably disappear. So many things the whole radical shift is going to happen in this world because of artificial intelligence. They have created an emergent phenomena through technology. And by the way, there is something called the black box problem in AI. Now, the same problem is there with the human brain. I'll explain it to you. It's so interesting to think about these things. This is really cool, fantastic stuff, right? So the black box problem is what? That there's an explanatory gap. We don't understand why AI works the way it does, how it works. So now researchers have developed a whole area of specialization to try to answer that question of the black box problem. And they have a technical name for it, which I don't remember right now. There's a new field in computer science to try to explain how AI works. And the AI has been developed based on neurological patterns. We have estimated 83 billion neurons in the brain. 83 billion neurons are there. And the intricacy, the complexity, the energy flow, the synaptic connections are so intense. One neuron, one synapse, or one cell body with the dendritic connections could have up to 10,000 connections. They have found one neuron having 10,000 connections.